in
The station
my intro.
where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
When life shapes us, when love anchors us, when loss changes us, we are not left behind. We are carried forward, held by faith, rooted in purpose, finding our way. This is Carried Forward, a space for stories of resilience, purpose, and forward resolve.
Hi, welcome to Carried Forward. I'm your host, Shawna Nissen. And as usual, we're going to have some stories about resilience and how my guests have carried themselves forward in their life through challenges as we all go through. I'll have them introduce themselves.
My name is Dr. Travis Distel, and this is my wife, Dr. Rachel Distel. And our son, Aries, is also here with us too. So
thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
We're actually sitting in their business. They have a chiropractor business in New Braunfels, and we'll get to that. But I was lucky enough to let them do the interview here, and we can even like at the end we can even show you guys' place if you want.
Sure, that'd be great. Yeah.
But first, we'll talk about you, Travis. Travis is a combat veteran. And his life journey has brought him to this, and I hear through his wife's journey too. But tell us a little bit about your time in service and how that's affected maybe your perspective now and moving into.
Yes, ma'am. So I got in the Army in 2007. I was in for 5 years. I was a scout, and during that time, I did 2 deployments. I did 1.5 years in Iraq and then another year in Afghanistan. Got to do a lot while I was there. Learned a lot of things to help me with where we're at now. I mean, typical military structure, timeliness, order, things along those lines. As far as our business, it's dramatically helped me with owning our own business, because you do need to be structured. You need to have set things in place to help you run a successful business, and you need good team. And we have an amazing team here. I get to share this journey with my amazing family and wife that holds it all together. So it's been a great journey to get here.
I will say he also wakes up at 4:00 in the morning still. So that's super helpful. And he's a phenomenal leader. I mean, he's the head of our household, but he's the head of our team here. So he's fantastic in leadership. So.
That comes useful at 4:30 in the morning getting up.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. A little more extra day time. And they do have a great team, because I've been able to come here and interact with this team and be a patient. And I was telling him just the other day that you really feel community here. And I guess it's been about a month I've been coming here, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you really get used to showing up and being somewhere and doing something for yourself, and your whole team encourages that. So it's been really good.
Thank you. Yeah, that's one of our overall goals, is to build a community. It's all about not just us teaching patients and showing patients what health is. It's the patients talking with each other and sharing their experiences and what their health journey has looked like, because we love to say, if you can heal loudly, that helps those suffering silently. So that really resonates with me and our team, because so many people either don't know how to talk about it or to even express, or they might feel embarrassed. So hearing those stories from other people is massive in being able to start that healing process.
And we'll show you guys a little later. They have a wall of healing where people share what's been good for them. But at the end, we'll we'll run by there.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
But tell me a little bit more about your military service. What brought you to being in the military and then getting out? And then how much time before getting out of the military to starting the business?
Yeah. So what brought me to the military? I come from a military family. A lot of my uncles and aunts and people that I've always been around were in the military. And then I was always a really athletic person growing up, and I just wanted to be able to use that athleticism for something good. So that's why I wanted to be more in the combat role, to be able to use that for good. And so that's really kind of how I got to be in it. When I was getting out, it was a little bit of a rougher transition for me, I would say, getting out, just because I extended my contract for that 5th year to be able to do that last tour. I didn't want to train up my soldiers and then, say bye, good luck on your tour. So luckily at that time, they weren't doing a lot of re-enlistments at the time. That's when a lot of the military was downsizing, but they did allow us to extend the contract to be able to do that last deployment, just because the way the timing fell. But when we got back, they were really just trying to hurry up and push us out. It was, hey, you don't have any time. You can't be with the soldiers. We need the new leadership to take over. So it was really hard for me. I didn't know what I didn't know at the time. And so I didn't know what questions to ask or how to complete that exfil, the ETS aspect of it, and getting out. And luckily, once I got out, though, I found the right people to show me that and to explain to me, hey, it's okay to file for, your intent to file to get your disability and things like that. Because at the time, I was still a pretty young guy. I felt like if I can eat, sleep, walk, and breathe, I don't want to take money away from other soldiers that didn't have that capability. So just really the mindset coming out of the military was really hard for me in knowing what to do. And then the transition to chiropractic, it actually took a while. It took me a while to find my footing in civilian life. I jumped around from kind of a job to job to job and lived a couple lives in there in between, and really got lucky. Moved to College Station. I was going to go to A&M, and turns out I had too many college credits, so they wouldn't accept me. I didn't even know that was a thing.
I didn't either.
Yeah. So no, out there, if you have too many college credits, they might not accept you.
They're like, we don't know what to do, and it's not a degree.
Yeah. Well, what they told me was if you wanted to, you could graduate in one semester.
Okay.
But I didn't want to take that route. I was going to try to do a totally different plan. But they were like, well, once we accept you, you could do whatever you want. They would have no control over that. So, but overall, that was the best mistake I ever made in my life, because by moving to College Station, that's where I met my beautiful wife and start our journey together. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys met in College Station. Were you tell us where you were at that time?
Yes, ma'am. So I actually ended up in College Station. It's pretty close to my hometown. But I had ended up basically becoming the caretaker for my elderly grandparents. My mom had passed away when I was 19. So I kind of stepped in, and my grandparents were older. My grandpa had Alzheimer's, and, it was just kind of like a rougher patch for them. And where we're from, we had, great, decent medical care, but it was better for them if I could provide more for them in like a bigger town, which was College Station. So that's how I ended up there. And I worked in medical aesthetics, and that's where I was there. I was kind of just working, doing my family thing. And we have a mutual friend that, I had grown up with basically my whole life, because of my grandparents actually. And her now husband served in the military with him. So we actually met through a mutual friend, which is a pretty cool story. I'm very proud to say, like, we never had to do dating apps or anything like that. 'Cause I could not do what y'all are doing out there in the dating world today. So very blessed to have just met him organically. But that's how we came together. And it was right shortly after he got out of the military. And I was just young too, trying to find my own path and, just trying to get on my feet. So it was a neat time for us to both come together.
Okay. And then talk about that. You both can chime in. So you met each other and you were dating, and then decided to get married. And neither one of you were in chiropractic at that.
No, absolutely not. So for me personally, I've been a patient of chiropractic for a long time. Hand him off to you. Sorry, sleepy baby. So I had been a patient probably since like 10 or 11, and I never thought about becoming a chiropractor in any realm. I just knew that it had helped me, you know, just feel better. And I was an athlete myself, so, you know, performance and things like that.
Mhm.
But other than that, I didn't really ever give it like two different thoughts, you
You're
know,
like,
about
"Good."
becoming one or
Yeah.
anything like that until later.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah, I
have
mean,
anything to
yeah, I was.
say? Pardon us.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, no, I was
No
sports,
worries.
and even when I got out, I did personal training. So that was the main thing that I did when I got out. I
Mhm.
love personal training. I love everything about healing the body. I actually did structural, or not structural, but corrective exercise. That was kind of my specialty. So people that either couldn't finish PT, or whether it was too expensive for them, or they just didn't finish whatever, and they still had injuries that they were trying to deal with.
Mhm.
I would show them how to rehab and really get back to their way of life.
Okay,
Was a lot. So I kind of knew a lot about the body, and I loved helping people already. So it was a fun transition, I would say, to doing from that to chiropractic.
Okay, yeah, I can see where that was kind of going
Mhm.
hand in hand.
Yeah, absolutely.
And-
Funny enough, though, that is still not how I got to chiropractic,
Okay.
but yeah.
Yeah, and I know a little bit because they share when you come here how they kind of came to being, well, chiropractic and just being
Yes.
important to them.
Mhm.
So go ahead and share a little bit about that. I mean, take us through the steps that got you there, and that if you, yeah.
Yeah, so we always think it's really big to tell our big why as far as what got us to this point, because we never had a desire to necessarily want this. Like, this was never the life that we thought we would have. But when the medical model fails you, and it fails you in a way that almost takes your life, you know, you have to speak out into the world, and that's literally what happened to us. So I'll let Rachel tell her story as far as what it was that got us to where we are now.
Yeah, so we were very early on in our relationship. We were barely into our first year of marriage. And I became ill. Like, I was working a couple different jobs, you know, I've always been a very hard worker. And I just remember like having to call in and call in and call in, and I would get these reoccurring chronic urinary tract infections, which if you've never had one, then God bless you, because they can be very painful and obnoxious. And, you know, I just thought that was just something that I had going on as a young adult. But then, you know, you start to look at it in the, like, now that I look back, you know, you look at it in a bigger picture, and you're talking, you know, a year and a half, almost 2 years of repetitive UTI. And so what happened is it started to spread. So I would get kidney stones. I started getting these kidney infections, and, you know, I would go to the doctor and I would get an antibiotic, and then it would go away for a little while and it would come back, and it just was this just kind of chronic, you know, repeating cycle. And it really made me miserable, and it made me really embarrassed, because at some points it was like so painful and debilitating I couldn't go to work, and that's just not what I that just wasn't in my character, you know. And so that part alone was really hard, and it really got to a point where it felt kind of helpless, because the answer was just antibiotics. And then, which, don't get me wrong, there is always a time and place for medication. Like, I'm not anti-medication or anti-medicine,
Right,
you know,
right.
or
It just
doctor.
wasn't working.
It just wasn't working. And then what it did was it gave me really bad gastrointestinal issues, as chronic antibiotic use does. And so it just became a real lengthy, you know, issue. And the pain from the kidney infections alone, you know, I wouldn't really recommend that on anybody. Pass any kidney stone, I wouldn't recommend on Satan himself, you know. So so we were just kind of stuck, and I looked back, and we went to the hospital like 10 times in 1 year, and that's almost one time a month to be in there. And I just felt really hopeless, not having any answers. And when I talked to Travis about this, it was a desperate time in his life too, because he loves me, he's a fantastic husband, he's a fantastic supporter, and he just felt like he couldn't do anything different, he couldn't help. So all of that to say,
So that started happening after you guys were married? Or?
Yeah, so it was right around like our wedding. It was right around into our engagement, like into that first year of marriage. And that's the happiest time of your life. We're in the honeymoon phase, and here I am, bam bam, racking up these medical bills, and we're starting to go, things are starting to get rocky with our finances, and we're young, and we're still trying to figure out our career. And so it's not like we made a ton of money. We had just moved to this new town, and so it became pretty depressing pretty quick.
Right. And it's frustrating because you guys are just married, and you're feeling probably insecure.
Right.
And
right.
What is going on? I can't get this fixed. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I would say we were in a fairly dark place at that time, just because we felt like we were failing each other, and failing not necessarily as a couple, but just failing in life, which was a really hard time for us. She felt like she was failing me because, like she was saying, she couldn't work that often. We were racking up massive amounts of medical bills with no end in sight. Nobody had an answer for us. I felt like I was failing her as a husband because we couldn't figure out what was going on. So for me, I mean, I fell down a dark place and started drinking more often. And, we were just the woe is me, and just couldn't.
Life was heavy.
Yeah, it was. And then we would just get depressed. Like, we're supposed to be in the happiest time of our life right now. If this is what it looks like, what's it going to be like in a year, 5 years? So it was really, really hard on us. And we just honestly got extremely lucky that this happened to us, because all she could really do at that time was work at a farmer's market for a company where they would sell their products at farmers markets at the time.
Okay.
And I would go and help her set it up and everything. And then I would just walk around and just talk to the other vendors and everything. And just so happens, was walking by a guy, and he said, "Hey man, do you want to get your spine checked?" And I started laughing. I was like, "Absolutely not."
Oh, that's how I became your.
Yeah.
That's how I became.
That's exactly right. And that's why it's so important for us to get out in the community, because if that doctor wouldn't have been there, if he wouldn't have bothered me so much to the point where I was like, "Fine, you can have some money, and I'll make an
you weren't
appointment."
bothersome. But so he was like, "Hey, come." As you were walking around.
Yeah, he just was asking me, "Hey, do you want to get your spine checked?" And I thought I knew a lot about the body. I'd been, been in sports my whole life. I was a personal trainer.
Help people recover.
Right. So I thought I knew a lot. And Rachel had been seeing chiropractors her whole life, and I had been to her to some of the appointments and things. And he just kept talking about how the nervous system works, and if your spine is misaligned, how it can affect different areas of your body, and this and that. I was like most people, I just assumed it was associated with back pain.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest misconceptions. And when he broke down what was going on, I was like, okay, well, maybe this might be good for my wife to get checked out. We've been to chiropractors, but nobody's ever taken x-rays of her. They would just do the test and say, "Yep, you have scoliosis." Never said to what degree or anything along those lines, or how it could affect anything functional wise in her body. Just, "Yep, we'll get you adjusted so you're not in back pain."
Yeah.
And thank goodness he did, because when he went in, he said that she has a 30-degree scoliosis curve blocking off the nerve going to her kidneys. So of course, when she was getting these tests, they couldn't find anything wrong with her kidneys. It was a neurological issue. They just couldn't get signals from the brain. So it wasn't, anything else. We just had to get the pressure off the nerves so the nerves could receive signals from the brain and operate correctly.
Okay. Yeah.
And sure enough, in 3 months, that's exactly what happened. So it takes time, it takes repetition, it takes consistency. But once the body is able to start holding those adjustments like she did, and she was adamant about it, then she gets her health back. And not only that, probably one of the biggest changes is you saw one of my sons as a teenager. She usually doesn't tell this part, but she had cervical cancer when she was a teenager. And the doctors told her she wouldn't be able to have kids.
Wow.
So when you let the body heal the way it's designed to, and remove any interference, your body can do miracles. And I have 2 of them now.
Wow.
So
How sweet.
I love to tell people chiropractic gave me my family.
Awesome.
And allowed us to be able to do everything we have. And we just knew we had to tell the world about it. It's not just about pain. It's so much more than that. And so many people have no idea about what structural correction can do and how it can actually affect the body.
So talk about that. So your reproductive, your back issue or your nerves were being pinched?
Yeah. So and I almost hate to use the word nerve pinching because there's a lot of people who understand that it's a lot more than that. And it is a lot more than that. But just no, but that is exactly how we explain it. So because it's the easiest way to understand. Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is.
All parents out there, y'all already know we're multitasking. So I would say, I was the girl that would, I played volleyball and basketball my whole life. I was on the court, but I would suffer through like debilitating cramps and menstrual cycles. And I just thought that was my normal, and then, I get to whatever it was, 17, 18, and I had an abnormal pap smear, and they came back and told me but back then it was called a LEAP procedure, where they would go in and they would cut, burn, and freeze out a large portion of my cervix is what happens. And really it wasn't that necessarily, it was the scar tissue that they were telling me, like, hey, there's going to be a really hard time conceiving and holding on to a pregnancy because of the health of your cervix now. And sorry to get graphic for you guys out there, but that's just anatomy. And so, I kind of wrote that off. I was like, well, I don't want kids anyways. I'm 17, 18 years old. I'm not thinking about kids, So that was really just, my first experience. But then, you meet somebody as amazing as him and you're like, man, the world needs more of him, And so, but we didn't really even think it was a possibility, for us, until God decided it was. And now we have 2 amazing boys, and, and so, but back to the structural part of it, my personal, subluxation pattern or misalignment, whatever you want to call it, was in my low back. So that was the main thing for me. So like when you look at the spine from the front, it should be straight up and down from front to back. And I had a curve in my spine here in the lumbar part, and all of the nerves that exit that part of your spine, they control your GI tract, your absorption of nutrients, your kidneys, your pancreas, liver, gallbladder, spleen, reproductive organs. And so where I had my main issue or my miscommunication was to the kidney, to the liver, to the GI tract, and to the reproductive organs. And that's where I had issues my whole life. So, it just made so much sense to me. He talks about the doctor that I say saved my life, Dr. Brent Smith. If you ever watch this, I love you so much. You saved my life and gave me a family. But he just sat down and clearly showed me. He showed me how to read an x-ray. Yeah. And then he showed me what my x-ray looked like. And then he helped me correlate that back to the function of what was going on inside my body and my organs. And no one had ever done that for me before. And I remember thinking like, it cannot just be that simple that the brain's not communicating and there's a block in the road. It can't be that simple. But then I watched my life turn around. I watched me get my health back, and I looked healthy. Yeah. I looked like a healthy girl, but I was not healthy. Right. So I think that's a misconception too.
For sure that you're going to see it on the outside, but no, it does make Dr. Travis is what I call him. He like when he explained my own x-rays, I was like, wow, like it just makes logical sense once you've seen it.
It does.
And it's been explained that way.
Yes.
Like when pathways are blocked, there's not gonna be any communication.
Right. Yep. And that for us is the biggest premise. Like that's one of the things that means the most to us about practicing physicians is like, I can't tell you how many doctor's offices and appointments I walked into. And this is no shame to the medical community because y'all are busy. It's overloaded. We know. But I would walk in, I would wait, and somebody would come and they'd be on the computer, typing, not really making eye contact, asking me questions. And then somebody would come in and say, here's your prescription. And then that would be it. Yeah. And I refuse to give people that same experience because it feels it just feels hopeless. Like it just feels like you're just especially if you're a person who is fighting for your health and you are trying to get to the root cause and trying to understand what is going on inside your body.
Right.
And that's and that's just the level of human interaction that you get through that.
Yeah.
I never want anybody to feel like that. I want people to understand what's going on in their body, how this could be affecting it, and then help them walk through all the other things like diet and exercise and all the other contributing factors to health. So,
no, I mean, that's so important because, so many people, especially when you're going through something that is just not getting corrected, you just feel helpless.
Yes.
And you're like, okay, like this is all that you're going to give to me. But when you do come here, you guys do sit down and they schedule appointments and you talk about what's going on with your body beyond just what is going on with your back.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And I think that is important because so many people don't. They are just like, okay, I got to get to the next patient.
Right.
This will help. Like, and you're treating the symptom instead of the actual.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah. We like to look for the root cause, not just address the symptom.
Right. Okay. So you already covered a little bit of this, but what do you wish more people understood about chiropractor care?
You want this one?
You've been jonesing for this.
Well, I think there's just a lot out there. And today, so much so more than even when I got started a decade ago in chiropractic. You can learn anything on YouTube or TikTok. I mean, you can, and there's a lot of information out there. But I think one of the top misconceptions of chiropractic care is, well, number one, I'll go on a little bit of a soapbox. Is that okay?
Yep.
I would say number one, that it is pseudoscience, because that is so far from the truth. If you look at anybody like Dr. Heidi Havoc or anybody in neurological research for chiropractic, there is tons of books on research of chiropractic and chiropractic really is neurology. I mean, it's really just how your brain communicates with your body. And it really is just that simple. So, yes, there was a doctor who, the D.D. Palmer, the very first doctor of chiropractic, the first documented chiropractic adjustment, people say, well, he was a magnetic healer. This is, foo-foo voodoo kind of thing. But, and that, there might be some truth to how we got started in that. But today in 2026, there is no reason that we shouldn't have evidence-based care and be really basing our patient care off of what has been researched and shown. And there's a ton out there.
And the field has become more accurate.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's actually just being studied more.
Okay.
But chiropractic is really just releasing your own innate intelligence. Chiropractic doesn't cure anything. Chiropractic doesn't heal anything. Chiropractic allows your body to do what it's designed to do, which is heal and function at the optimal level. Yeah. And God designed us like that. And all we do is let God do the work. That is literally it. We move the bone, God does the healing. I mean, that's what we say. We don't actually move bones, we move joints, but that's the saying in chiropractic, you know what I mean? So that's the first thing, is really just
letting your body do what it was meant to do.
Right. And for some people, that kind of brings me to my next point, because for some people that takes time.
Right.
You know what I mean? So some people have really chronic issues, and we want things like that.
We do.
Especially when you're in pain.
Yeah.
And especially when you've been dealing with this, and I've tried X, Y, and Z and beyond. And I think one of the things that we hear all the time is, oh, I don't want to try chiropractic. I've already done that. I've tried chiropractic and it didn't work for me. And I think what I would tell the public is, give it another shot. There are hundreds of techniques of chiropractic. And, just like your hairstylist or your tattoo artist or whoever, you got to find the right fit for you. And one, that might not have been the right, that might not have been the right vibe for you.
Yeah.
But two, you get out of chiropractic what you put in. So if your chiropractor is telling you, this is your recommended treatment plan, these are the things that you need to be doing at home, and here's other ways to support your healing, and you only come in and get adjusted every so often and don't do any of the other stuff at home care, then of course it's not going to work. Or if you just go into one of those really quick, weekend type chiropractic places and get an adjustment and don't do it again for 3 months, then that's not really, it's not going to work, because it takes time to build that dysfunction. So it's going to take time to help your body heal it. So
Another thing that I just want to add on to that is, like she was touching on there, consistency is key on this. So I think of it as like you're going to go to a gym. If you really wanted to get in better shape, would you go to the gym once a month?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right.
No.
It's not going to happen. You have to build consistency. You have to, with what we do, we're structural correction docs. We want to try to get your spine in the best possible position so that it can heal and function the way it's designed to. And that takes consistency, because when you get an adjustment, what do you think is going to happen?
Right.
It's going to want to go right back, right? Because it's been that way for so long. So you have to find somebody, if you want long-term care, you want long-term results, you have to retrain the body. You have to retrain the muscles to hold the spine in the correct position. So a lot goes into it. It's not just, unfortunately, one magical adjustment that it can temporarily make you feel better, but that's why it always comes back.
Okay.
Yeah. So not only moving the joints, but inflammation in the body has a massive amount to do with it. So there's so much inflammation in our bodies, the amount of systemic inflammation in our bodies now that has risen so much. I mean, and that's total body inflammation, right? It's a lot of things that you need somebody
to
coach you
contributing to that.
So much, right? Our lifestyle now that's completely different. When you do have misalignments, that's going to cause inflammation in joints and in bones, and then that's going to cause degeneration, and that's going to it's a big snowball effect there. So what we're eating, what our lifestyle is, when we talk about most people that come in here, somebody has some type of stress. Like, it's a big one, because we're so busy nowadays and everything is always rush. There's always, by the time you go to bed, you have so much on your brain, and we don't get good sleep. And again, another big snowball effect that's going to be affecting our health, maybe not today or tomorrow, but a year, 5 years, 10 years down the line, is everybody always asks me, how did this happen?
Right.
That's always the number one question we get. How did this happen? Why did this happen? I don't know your life, but I can usually put some things together based on the history that you've told me. And if you are stressed, that means you're not going to get good sleep. When you're not getting good sleep, you're not going to have energy for the next day. Your muscles and body aren't going to be able to heal through the night, because that's when most of our healing takes place. Then if you're not healed, your muscles are already fatigued from the day before. Then when you go to work or whatever you're going to do the next day, you're already tired. You're going to have worse posture. That's going to lead to more injuries. That's going to lead to more stress. And again, it just gets worse and worse and worse the farther down the line you get. And then we just want to take a medication to try to cover up one of those symptoms, when in reality, you're never getting down to the root cause. And like Dr. Rachel was saying, that's why we just keep falling down the line of taking more and more medications instead of just get down to the root cause. What's causing this in the first place? Get that corrected.
And also, I mean, we all want quick fixes, like Rachel was saying. And that can be difficult. Do you see, when you have patients that come in and you show them, do they typically stick with it?
For the most part, yes. I mean, the thing with what we do is we can't want it more than everybody. It's a partnership. We're in it together. We can give everybody all the tools. We can do everything that we can do for everybody here in our office. But when you leave the office, there's nothing I can do anymore at that point. So it's really, if you really want this, that's why we want to show people that there can be change, right? That's why we always want the classes and the workshops and things to show people life is a evolving change. Like, we're always, something always new is coming. So what else can you continue to do to be healthier? Because it's not just about longevity of life, it's quality of life at the same time. So we want people to be able to play with their kids and grandkids and great grandkids as long as possible, be able to go on hikes and vacations as long as possible. Last thing I want is to be in a nursing home at 70 years old, right? That's never what I want. That's never what I want for anybody. We should be able to live our life to the fullest as long as humanly possible. Our bodies are designed to live a lot longer than what we give it credit for now. We're just not taking care of our bodies anymore.
So true. And we're all very sedimentary.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. Best and worst thing I would say is the whole COVID situation, because that created a lot more sitting jobs and stationary jobs, which we talk about it is sitting is the new smoking, right? It's going to create so much long-term health issues that it might not today or tomorrow, like we're saying, but over time, that creates a plethora of health issues
I
just
haven't
staying
heard that,
stationary.
but yeah, I mean, that does make sense. Yeah, just kind of the new downfall of our society. It's
Yeah.
like we sit so much, and
Mhm.
we weren't created to do that.
Yep.
What are some simple habits people can begin practicing to better support their physical health, you think? Standing.
Yeah.
Stand up.
Stand up. Posture is big, and that's for people that do come in here that have more desk jobs and stationary jobs. I tell them all the time, if you have a smartwatch, if you have a watch, whatever, just keep track of time. Set an alarm every 30 to 45 minutes. Stand up, reposition yourself, because nobody can have great posture for longer than 45 minutes, especially while you're working.
Yeah.
So that's a huge one. And really just do research, like figure out what's going on in your life, what could be causing different things. Get more active. Personal habits are huge.
I would say walking is wildly underrated. I mean, just walking for 30 minutes a day or getting up and moving after every meal. I mean, it's such a simple thing to do, but it's, I'm so here.
She's talking still.
I would say walking is
walking.
definitely the most underrated, tool, and it's free. And, especially here in Texas, walking in the sunshine, although it's like 1,000 degrees outside, but get some vitamin D, go outside, get in nature, decrease your stress, decrease your cortisol, get connected back to, Mother Nature, and just go for a 30-minute walk.
That morning sunshine is good for you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what are you both proud of in your life and career that you've built? Most proud of?
Besides our family,
Yeah, I would say
I would always say family. That's something that, we didn't even honestly think we could have. So I would say first and foremost that, I would say just the way our relationship personally has grown together, our relationship with God, and that whole journey has been not always a smooth one. That's in me personally. I went through some big time rocky roads in that field, and starting to come out on the other side now has been massive for us and our family all together. And of course, this office, being able to
talk about that a little bit. I was just going to ask you, like, how do you bring in your faith? Because it is noted here, but into your practice. So talk about that.
Yeah, we always, just like we said, I mean, I'll let you go more on this one.
You're gonna say we move the bone and God does the healing. Is that what you're gonna say? Yeah. And we do. I mean, we say that, and we say, after you get adjusted, we say your power is on, and that really is true, because once you remove the interference to your nervous system and your brain is able to connect more to your body, it is literally like your lights coming on. And some people really have felt that. You can feel it immediately after. It's kind of slow burn, whatever it might be. But I would definitely say you can't know, and people might disagree with me on this, but the more you know about human function, anatomy, physiology, especially on a micro level, on a cellular nano level, the intricate interworkings of the way that our body is designed and living, breathing things is designed, you cannot design, you can't deny the design and the creator of that. And that in itself is just, it's just the most life-giving thing. God is the source of everything. And, I had a kid ask me one time, okay, so if the brain controls everything, what controls the brain? And I still get goosebumps when I think about that, because what controls, what gives us life, it's that life source, and the expression of life is God, I think. And so, and for us, we might not be for everybody, you know what I mean? But we don't sugarcoat that here, because your body has an intelligent, incredible design, and the body really doesn't need any help from the outside. It needs no interference from the inside. So getting a chiropractic adjustment removes the interference and allows it to do what God designed it to do.
I love that.
Yeah. And when you see the miracles that we've got to witness, not just our own, but people that come in with no hope, and that they've tried absolutely everything and they're just crushed in life. And you see literally, like she was saying, when we say your power is on, the light that just turns on, or when they come in and they're a completely different person. And not only for that, it's everybody that they come in contact with. and then it just spreads like wildfire. And like, it's such a magical feeling that it's hard to say that there's, that's why we
Nothing,
have
right.
faith in God in here, is because it's so magical
It's
what we get to,
undeniable.
yeah,
It's
exactly. In our eyes
Yeah.
anyways, right? Yeah.
And I think too, like, I think that's why we love working with veterans and service members and things like
Mhm.
that. And not saying veterans are curmudgeony, you know, or but we do see so many people that are, you know, kind of grumpy, you know, because if you've been in pain for so long, if you've had this mindset for so long, which a lot of service members, you know,
Or just dealing with
are
the
just
pain.
dealing with
Yeah.
it, you know what I mean? And that oxycontin isn't touching it, you know, but that also changes your biochemistry, it changes your physiology, and it kind of just makes you a grumpy person.
Yeah.
I love my favorite patient. I have a lot of favorites, babies being one of them, but I think probably my favorite testimonies are, you know, the grumpy old guys that come in and they're all, you know, you can't help me, and you know, I'm too far gone, you know, that kind of mindset.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you see them in a month, 2 months later, once they start to, you know, get some good sleep and function a lot better, and they are completely different people.
Yeah.
And the testimony from the women, from the wives, are what's amazing.
There
you know,
go.
you know, my husband's a completely different person. He's nice now, you know, that kind of thing.
Wow.
That's
That,
for us.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that is huge when you hear testimonies from the people in their circle,
Mhm.
right? That's
Mhm.
like this person. It made me think of when the Holy Spirit changes somebody. Yeah, I mean, yes, that's what it makes
It
me think
is,
of.
yes.
Yeah.
But you guys are allowing your body to function how God created us. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Let's see what else I have in here. Is there anything else that you would like to discuss with our listeners, or provide some insight into maybe better health, the physical body health? And you already said like standing and walking, but
What's the mindset?
yeah,
Yeah, mindset's a big
Mhm.
factor of it. When we
talk
go
about
out,
that a lot.
yeah, we sure do. So one of the things that we always ask people when they come in is, what's your definition of health?
Yeah.
I think that's huge when we want to see people's outlook and what people view health as.
Yeah.
I mean, when I go out and I ask, the typical answers I get are how you look, how you feel, how you eat, do you exercise? And then the latest one is, a lot of people have been coming around to how your mindset is, which is all great aspects of health.
Yeah.
It's not the actual definition of health, right? The actual definition of health is your body's ability to heal and function at its optimal level 100% of the time. And that's where the nervous system comes into play. So really understanding what your view of health is, I think is really important. And mindset's so big. So many people have no idea. They think it's like the foo-foo, oh, you're going to think you're going to be better. Well, there's actually physiological and chemical changes that happen in your body when you have a better outlook, or if you have a worse outlook. And then there's I call it the weird God factor of, like, when you're a kid, and I think we talked about it, was when you're a kid and you act like you're sick because you don't want to go to school. You're like, oh, I got a tummy ache. I got a tummy ache. I don't want to go to school. And then sure enough, at the end of the day, you have a stomach ache.
It
You
is,
know,
it is the
so
power of the tongue. I mean, your
Yeah.
mindset is everything. So if you think you're sick, if you think there's no hope, I mean, that's what comes into your
Yeah.
life. So mindset, I think, before anything else, you have to know that you're created to heal. You have to know that you're created to, you know, have an abundant life.
I was trying to think of that Bible verse that says, take control of your thoughts. You guys know that one? I don't remember.
Don't ask me to quote
Right.
it. I can tell you every
Yeah.
bone in the body.
Well,
Don't ask me
yeah,
to quote
right.
scripture.
Yeah, but there's a scripture that says, take every thought captive.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
Sorry out there, I don't know which Bible verse that is, but like, and I mean, and I think that's exactly what
Yes.
God is trying to tell us is like,
Yes.
we have to not only like, it's not like, oh, I'm thinking about that, but it's like, why am I thinking about that, and how can I think better?
That's
You know,
right.
you're right.
That's right.
How your mindset. Like,
Mhm.
I was going through a class this morning that was talking about kind of cognitive distance, where dissonance, where we get in these patterns of
Yes.
thinking,
Yes.
and once, like, maybe it's because we don't feel well, right? Our
Right.
bodies, and we wake up every day to that same pain, and we're like, oh, you know, it just wears on your mind. Like, that's just what I'm going to feel like. But you guys are allowing them to feel different, and which eventually leads to the mind perspective changing. It's because some people can't change their mindset until their physical changes. Right?
Yeah. It's, I mean, it's hard if you've been going through all that. It's hard not to have that mentality and that, though, not necessarily just the woe is me mentality aspect of it, but it affects so much of your life. You know, if pain is getting so bad to where you can't bend down, you can't do the things that you love, you're going to be in a worse mood.
Right.
So it's really, really hard to not be in that mindset. But kind of on that same level, one thing that I would always love to share with people is you have to try, though.
Yeah.
You have to try. Just giving up and just hoping something is going to get better, that never works for anybody. No successful person or miracles happen to people that just gave up.
Right.
Right. You have to keep trying. You have to try to keep putting your best foot forward. Try to stay as positive as possible, because it's always easy just to think about yourself and you're just like, oh, this is just going to affect me. Well, it doesn't. It affects everybody around you.
Right.
So even though, if you think I'll just let myself be sick, well, who's going to take care of you when you're so sick that you can't take care of yourself? That's when it starts affecting everybody. So don't have that mentality. It's not any type of singling out yourself. I mean, think of your family, think of everybody else, and stay as positive as possible. I think one of the main things in life is to try to help your neighbor, essentially, you know, and if you can stay as positive as possible, that's going to help somebody else down the
And
line.
if you can't yourself, then I've noticed, like, surround yourself by people that
Absolutely.
aren't going to feed the negative, right?
Yes.
And maybe you're feeding the negative, but if you're around someone that's like is going to help you with that, that is important. And then eventually you'll, you know, move over to the being more positive. But it is who you surround yourself with, and not isolating yourself, because it's easy to go, I'm not going to affect anyone. I am like, I'm just going to be in my bubble, and then I won't bother anybody. But then your mind gets worse and worse. And then it's just a vicious cycle. So I do think that it's important when you come here to, is it Max Living Chiropractic? Like, you guys work on that whole person, and you try to help with mindset, and coming in here often, and then your whole team, you know, ask like, oh, how are you today? What's going on? You know, I think that's important.
Yeah. So we live by what we call the 5 essentials because there's more than just one facet of being healthy, right? Mindset being one of them. So it's core chiropractic, mindset, nutrition, oxygen, and exercise, and then minimizing toxins. We always say minimizing toxins because you can't eliminate them all. But we're always trying to figure out with each patient, what is the one area that you need to improve the most? Like, so many people just don't know where to start.
Right.
So we try to sit down with them and figure out what that is and what are some starting steps to get that ball rolling. Start some small victories.
And to your point, you're talking about, you know, surrounding yourself with the right type of people. I always tell people that, you know, when you're minimizing your toxins, sometimes those are relationships, and sometimes those are people.
That is true.
And sometimes, you know, you just have to step away from her. You can heal your body.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to take the tour of your place here?
Absolutely.
Or do you have anything else you want to share?
Is there anything else that you can think of?
We pretty much covered it all. I mean, we're happy to be a resource for people, you know, no matter what.
If you have a question about
Specifically for the
anything,
military community, like in regards to like making a huge transition, continuing to educate yourself, like
definitely continue to educate yourself. Don't be afraid to reach out. I know a lot of us are always scared, or not necessarily scared, but hesitant. You don't want to feel vulnerable. You don't want to seem weak. That's especially coming from like a combat guy like myself. We never want to put our emotions out there. We never want to make it seem like we're weak, or we're always putting on that front. So be open, be okay to talk to other people. Find a good community. There are a lot of resources. You just got to do a little bit of research and figure out what it is that you want. I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
So that would really be my big take on getting out.
I would
that
have I
transition.
would have a chiropractic table right at the gate when they get off the plane. I mean, you've got to get adjusted, Goal. You've got to get adjusted. I mean, your body goes through so much. You know, you're
I
sleeping,
love that.
you're sleeping not much. You know, you're going through a lot of stress. You're putting your body through unimaginable, you know, physical things. Get adjusted. Don't sleep on chiropractic care.
Yeah.
That's my
Okay.
note. For
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And then
Absolutely.
one last question, and then we'll do the walk around. Both of you have had journeys of that you needed resilience. Talk about that in regards to where have you seen that resilience, and where has it led you to, like in your lives? Like,
I'll start.
does that, like, what has helped you carried forward? Like we've talked about, people were around, education, things like that. But for y'all's journeys specifically, what has been your resilience and helped carry you forward? Because it takes a lot to get here where you're at.
Yeah. Yeah. We were thinking about that actually, right before you came, carrying it forward, like what that means to us.
Yeah.
So even in chiropractic care, that's one of the main things that we have, not necessarily carry it forward, but
Guard it well.
guard it well.
Yeah.
So we always want to guard that and carry that on. It's our duty to share with not just other chiropractors, but the world, the power of the body, what we're actually capable of. And it's continuously gaining as much knowledge and life experiences to pass that on to the next person, and to try to make either the next person's life easier, or understand life or their bodies or whatever the situation that they're going through, make it easier for that person, or let them know that they're not alone. So that way we can just we should be building as a community, not just staying level or downgrading. We should be continuously getting smarter, knowing more, empowering each other more, and not trying to tear each other down.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I think that's one of the main things that we want to do. And that's why we try to go out and do community events and try to be out in the public. And I want people to ask me questions about anything health related or life related. I'm happy to share my stories. I'm not perfect. I'm far from it, and have made a lot of mistakes in my life.
A lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, like personally for me, I think I've just tried a lot of things. Like I've done, you know, I've been in a lot of different fields. I've tried a lot of things, you know, and just always learning, you know. I think that helps you be resilient. You're never the smartest person in the room.
Right.
You know, don't be afraid. Yeah. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to be an open book and be vulnerable. Like we're all just human. It's all our first time, you know? So, you know, there's really no.
And each person that comes in here is different.
Yeah.
So for me, I always want to be prepared for that next person. So that's why you have to continue to get smart, continue to educate yourself and to push yourself, because there could be somebody out there that needs us.
Right.
And we have to be ready for that.
Learn something different from their
Absolutely.
situation.
Absolutely.
Be like the bones, right? Or the joints. Resilient. Right?
Absolutely.
And we're made to be resilient. You know, we really are made to be resilient. God made all of this, you know, the sunsets and the birds and bees and trees, and still said that you're his best work. So, you know.
I don't know. Us and sunsets. I don't know. I'm not sure if we win. Okay, so we are going to do something different here on Carry Forward, and we're going to walk around their business so you can see. All right, so.
Okay, so yeah, so normally you'll see somebody back here behind the desk, you know, warm face welcoming you. And then this is what you were talking about. This is what we call our miracle wall. So this is growing miracles of patient testimonies who have walked out the 5 essentials of health and had, you know, a better outcome on the other side. And a lot of these people are still here. They're still continuing to take care of their health and, you know, be supported in those ways. And of course, you know, shout out to Max Living. So we are actually a network of providers all across the United States, Canada, Puerto Rico, we're everywhere. So if you like what you heard, just let us know. There's practitioners all across the place of Max Living Chiropractic who can, help you, empower you, help get to the root cause. We have a couple of exam rooms here. So here's one of our, consult rooms.
With the spine over there.
Yeah, we have to have a real life model.
And then you guys have a play area.
We're
too,
super family friendly. I mean, obviously you guys see we have our own kids in here, but there's usually 2 or more kids in here at all times playing. I mean, as you can see, has been well loved today. And don't worry, we do wipe down everything and sanitize it because I know those little sticky fingers. And then we have adjustment bays here. So pretty standard, typical chiropractic table. We use drops. So if you guys have been to chiropractic before or know anything about it, the table lifts up and comes down. So that just is kind of easier on you guys. We use tools as well. So we use what we call the ArthroStim here. It's got a couple different settings on it. And so that's one of the ways that we can help adjust. And then we also use Activator. Dr. Travis is level 2 certified in Activator. So that's just a couple different techniques of chiropractic that we integrate to make sure it's really customizable, for each patient.
Then they have this area. Huh? Let's see if I can capture that.
So this is our, we call it the hot seat area or the wobble room. These little cushions right here, they help you get movement in your body, warm up your discs, get movement in the joints, hydrate your fascia, all of those good things. So we teach you movements of the spine to make sure that you're really warming up your spine, preparing to get a force applied to it before the adjustment. And then of course the traction units on the wall there, that's another big thing of how to open up the joints of the spine, how to get some fluid, get some movement in there. I would say not for everybody. Don't just buy a traction unit, try to set it up at home and look on YouTube, have a professional look at your spine. And then we do neuromuscular rehabilitation here, some re-education. So there's a vibration plate and we use the Pedibond body weighting system, just again, specific. Let's see. For us, we take in-house x-rays. I would say most Max Living offices have their own x-ray system. It's very important to us to, be able to measure everything down to the millimeter, know exactly what's going on, what joints are you targeting, where does the adjustment need to happen? So that way it's really specific for each person.
Yeah, and I think that's important. Like
absolutely.
To do, x-rays.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when you're doing some adjustments.
Yes, this is the most important system of your body. So
you guys have Christmas in July.
We do. We do. It's Christmas in July, so we've got the festive decor going on. We love Christmas, so we do it twice.
Yeah.
And then right here, this is the 5 essentials that Dr. Travis was talking about earlier. Of course, chiropractic is our main focus, but we do nutrition consultations. He was talking about mindset. We talk about oxygen in the body, oxygen through exercise, and then of course, minimizing toxins. So that's our pillars of health. Of course, these are the things that contribute to health, but there's only one thing that controls it, and that's the nervous system. So that's first.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the tour, and we're just gonna say goodbye. Thank you guys both for being here and talking so honestly and
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you for having us.
And thanks for having our whole family here.
Yeah. I mean, I was so glad that that you felt comfortable to bring him, and that's just life. That's how this is. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Please take some time to look at all my podcasts, and if anyone, as usual, if you think they would benefit from what we spoke about today, please share with them. And if you're in New Braunfels, come and check out Max Living Chiropractic. Bye.
So much fun. He's probably crying in the entire audio. I'm so sorry.
Hi, I'm Beaker with Military Broadcast Radio TV. We're your virtual MWR, bringing veterans radio, podcasts, gaming, animation, 3D printing, and a community that never leaves you behind. Download our